Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, 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 how are you?
Hi. I'm going to begin
Hi.
now, okay?
Okay.
All right. Dear audiences, to be informed, today's forum consists of two sessions. The first session will be a sharing session with our panels regarding their experiences, challenges, issues that they face while studying during the pandemic. Meanwhile, we will continue further with a second session which will be our question and answer with our panels. Audiences are welcome to leave any question in the chat box. Secondly, please do not forget to fill up the feedback and attendance form. Please be alert that the form will be distributed by our committee main members in the chat box, which I will inform everyone between our sessions. Dear audiences, please be ready because we will start our forum in just a few minutes. As a representative of my committee members, I humbly seek for everyone's cooperation to be well behaved throughout the entire event. Thank you. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very good evening, a bit my fellow friends, panelists, and audiences. As usual, salam UiTM di hatiku. Before we start, I would like to welcome our brother Muhammad Ashraf to lead us in today's prayer recitation as to honor our event this evening. Please, welcome.
Thank you to our moderator. Before we start our program today, let's recite Surah Al-Fatiha first to seek barakah for our programs today. Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين يا كريم يا ودود. Indeed, we gathered today to express our gratitude for your invaluable grace. Make us your servants who are always grateful for all the favors you have given us. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Please bless our program today. You know that we are here today to seek and gain knowledge as your servants whom you are pleased with. So give us knowledge, shine our hearts with your light and guidance. Hopefully, with that we can easily accept and appreciate and practice it. The Ya Jalali wal Ikram, grant us health, mental fitness, peace of mind, strength of spirit. Hopefully, we will able to face challenges, be competitive, and able to raise the dignity of ourselves, our family, our society, and our country. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
Mohammed, you have been muted. I'm so sorry. We cannot hear you. Unmute your microphone. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, thank you. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Thank you, Mama Ashraf, for the recitation. May today's event will be in Allah's guidance and a smooth sailing until the end, inshallah. In today's event, I would like to honor Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Qadir bin Rosdin, Rector of University Technology Mara, UiTM Sabah, Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Jalil Muhammad Ali, Dean of University Technology Mara, UiTM Negeri Sembilan. I would also like to welcome Ms. Ella Gumzia from Ms. Anna Limani, Ms. Idon Zinelli, and Lelulu from Albania. Meanwhile, our guest from Indonesia, who is currently living in Malaysia, Ramadan Afaini, from the United States of America, Mahisa Saravanan, and Zul Amin. And lastly, our representative from Malaysia, Brother Aflin Mikhail and Amirul Shafiq, as our panelists for today. Lastly, our lovely audiences this evening. Welcome to our forum, Surviving the New Norm International Student Edition. For your information, today's event is a joint of 3 associations, from University Negeri Mara, namely Faculty Administrative Science and Policy Study of Negeri Sembilan and Sabah, and Students College Committee of Negeri Sembilan. This is the first event that we held internationally in order to thoroughly discuss the issues of COVID-19 pandemic and how each of our panel cope and deal with the impact of the circumstances, particularly from students' point of view towards their academic performances. Other than that, this event is intended to encourage our dear students, no matter where you are studying, to always be up to date with the global and current issues. Before we start, I would like to welcome Professor Madya Dr. Abdul Jalil to give a short and welcoming speech to our dear panelists and audiences. Please welcome.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all of you present today. To my honored guest and also a good friend of mine, Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Qadir Roslin. I hope he's here. To all our speakers, Amirul Shafiq, Afdlin Mikael from UITM. Please excuse me if I do pronounce your name. I do not pronounce your name correctly. Elmina Lagumzia from International University of Sarajevo, Bosnia. Mahesa Saravanan from Western Michigan University, USA. Ramdhani Alfaini from MSU. I understand he's Indonesian, even though he's studying in Malaysia. Zul Amin bin Zulkifli from Cranach School of Management, Purdue University, USA. Anna Limani, Elliot Lulo, and Edona Zanelli from the Metropolitan University of Tirana, Albania. I'm very sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly. And to all my fellow lecturers and everybody who's present today, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I hope I've covered all the time zones. Right? Thank you for inviting me to inaugurate this program. I have to thank all of you, especially the speakers, for taking your time off from your studies and so on to be with us today. Okay, when I saw the word Western Michigan University, actually it brought back a lot of wonderful memories when I was there. Probably I was there when before most of you were born, okay, in 95, 96, right? I'm sure most of you were not born then, right? Or maybe just small babies. I was there for a year and a half, okay, doing my master's there. So when I saw the name Western Michigan University, it brought back a lot of wonderful memories when I was there. Kalamazoo was a very small town then, but now after 25 years, I'm sure it's a big town now. So thank you for all of you to come, take time off to be with us here. In Malaysia now it's 8:30 at night. So US is just on the other side of the globe, so we have almost a 12 hours time difference. So thank you all of you for taking and also for taking this opportunity to interact with each other. Even though people are talking about COVID, but I see a silver lining in COVID. That is, people now tend to meet more often using online. Okay, otherwise, if we are still engrossed with meeting face to face with all the logistics, sometimes it doesn't happen, and also the cost involved. But Alhamdulillah, with so I see the silver lining here. In fact, we have had a lot of international programs, more than usual, right? So Alhamdulillah, so that is a silver lining that I can see. I'm sure some of you are still like us in the midst of COVID, but I think most of the countries are almost at the end of the COVID issues. So I hope Malaysia also comes out of it as soon as possible. And probably if everything is fine, maybe next year, you can build your own networking and maybe make some traveling arrangements to see each other. face to face, right? Well, meeting face to face is, I guess, nothing can replace that, right? Okay. So I wouldn't like to take much of your time. I encourage students to have this kind of programs, and I would like to thank Dr. Faiz and his team for making this possible. Right? I think this is a wonderful event, getting people from different cultures so that we can understand each other better. And I hope this program is a success. Okay, again, guys, thank you for coming. Finally, I hope all students will always be enthusiastic and have a positive attitude in seeking new knowledge, either formally or informally. And thank you for taking the time to participate in this webinar today. Before concluding my speech, I hereby inaugurate a webinar on surviving the new norm, International Students Edition. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, I'm unmute, right? Thank you to Professor Mada, Dr. Abdul Jalil for the warm and welcoming speech just now. I hope our dear panelists and audiences will be thrilled for today's forum. Without further ado, let's get to know our dear panelists. Allow me to introduce each and one of our dear panelists for everyone's attending today's event. Before we start, I'm Muhammad Haris Aikal, will be your moderator for today. You can call me Haris or Muhammad, either one suits me best. A little bit about me. I'm a final year student of Bachelor of Administrative Science, UiTM Negeri Sembilan Campus Seremban. For our very first panel today, I would like to welcome Amirul Shafiq bin Aizuddin and Aflin Mikael bin Muhammad Sofyan from UiTM Malaysia to introduce a little bit about themselves. Please welcome. Maybe we can start with Amirul Shafiq first.
Okay, thank you to the moderator. So hello to everyone, a very good day. My name is Amirul Shafiq. Right now I'm semester 4, learning degree in administrative science in UI. The intro?
Yeah, just a little bit about yourself.
I will be officially 22 in exactly 41 days. Right now, I'm learning in campus because I feel like here is more peace feeling, or I can adapt better if I'm at this specific environment. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to meet all of the panelists, and I hope we have a great time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday in advance, Amirul Shafiq. Why not we call for Mr. Aflin Mikael to introduce himself?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Okay, my name is Aflin Mikael bin Muhammad Sofyan. So you can call me Aflin or Mikael, or maybe you can call me whatever you want, like as you like. So yeah, I'm currently studying at UiTM Sabah in Bachelor of Administrative Science Club. And yeah, right now I'm in my 5th semester, and yeah, I think that's about it lah. Because there's nothing interesting about me. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aflin Mikael. How about we hear it from Bosnia, Miss Eminala Gumza? Am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, absolutely. I know it's difficult to pronounce it, but you did a great job. Thank you very much. So yes, my name is Emina. I am from Sarajevo, from Bosnia, and I've been an English teacher for quite some time, more than 20 years now. I know you'll be surprised to hear that, but I'm here in double role because I'm here both as a student and also as an instructor. I've been teaching English at the International University of Sarajevo for 14 years now, since 2007. I've been working at the English language school there, both as a level coordinator as well as an English language teacher. And also I teach freshman English courses, namely academic English and effective communication, as well as critical reading and writing at the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at IUS. And currently I'm a PhD student, so this is my student role here. And I will try to give you both insights as a student and as an instructor here. So hopefully it will be useful and beneficial for all of us to hear that. Okay, so that would be all for now, unless you have any questions, but I'm sure you will have later. So is it okay? Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure we have many questions for you as we start our session.
All right, okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Amina. How about we hear it from Anna Limani from Albania?
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today, so thank you for the invitation. I am Anna. I am a third-year student in software engineering at Metropolitan Tirana University in Tirana in Albania. I graduated this year, and I'm looking forward to pursue my career in programming and also data analytics. At the same time, I work as a coordinator in a business incubator, helping businesses and startups grow. So I'm very looking forward to today's session, sharing experiences and hearing each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. I'm happy to have you here. So why not we call for Alert Lulu, Mr. Alert Lulu?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
My name is Alert Lula, and I'm a second-year student at Metropolitan University Tirana at the Business Informatics Department. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm really happy at the school to be in this meeting, and I'm looking forward to see what everybody has to say for their experience. I wish you a great meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Alert
Do you
Lulu.
hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. Next, our final one from Albania, Miss Edona Zinelli. Are you there?
Yes, hello everyone. How are you doing?
Hi.
I'm Edona. I'm from Macedonia, but I study in Albania in Metropolitan University of Tirana. It's a great pleasure to be here and to meet you all, because there was not a great opportunity than this to meet people from all around the world. I can't wait to share my experience and also hear all of you tell your experience about COVID and how everything went. So I think with time we will hear everyone and their stories. So I can wait to hear everyone's experience and how they handled COVID-19.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Edona.
Thank you.
So from the United States of America, we have Zul Amin bin Zulkifli. Let's hear it.
Hi everyone, my name is Zul Amin Zulkifli. I am currently a fourth-year student at Purdue. I'm studying actuarial science and economics. I'm hopefully to graduate this December. So yeah, I'm from Kota Baru, Kelantan. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to listen everyone's today, and yeah, let's looking forward for a great experience today. Thank you.
Thank you. From Indonesia, Ramadan Alfaini from Management and University Malaysia. Are you there?
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so good night, good morning, and everything, everyone. And hello, my name is Ramadan Alfaini. You can call me Rama or Ramadan. That is okay. And I'm taking Bachelor in Public Relations in MSU, and I am from Indonesia. And this is my 9th semester, and I'm currently taking an internship placement for 6 months. Hopefully, graduate in next year. I think that is all from me for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have it for Mahisa Saravanan from Western Michigan University, USA.
Hello everyone. My name is Maisha Saranan, and I'm currently a third-year student majoring in economics and political science with a minor in finance at Western Michigan University. Fun fact about myself is I'm currently back in Malaysia for a summer break, and I'm actually from Port Dickson, Negeri Sembilan. So yeah, that's pretty much all from me. Back to you, Harit.
Thank you, Mr. Mahisa Saravanan from Port Dickson. Okay, yeah. I hope everyone is excited to hear what our panelists have to say today. And our topic would be about surviving the new norms, since we are in out this pandemic, depending on where you are. So let's begin. Dear audiences, we will start our first session. And for the first session, all of our panelists are required to answer, and I hope that everyone is ready. So are you guys ready for the first question? Yeah, all right. So the first question is, as far as I know, all of our panelists here today are from different educational backgrounds. Some took language courses, some are engineering students, and some venture into the policy and public relations studies. The educational background of each of our panelists today is varied and does not limit to only one course or faculty. To add, we are currently facing the circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic, and I believe it impacts each and every one of us as students, as it hinders us from accessing certain facilities that we can get access from our campuses, especially. For example, engineering students might need to go to labs, require complex software in order to complete certain assessment, or few of you that actually prefers face-to-face communication and physical classes. As a student of your respective field of study, what is your biggest challenges in continuing your studies while coping with the insufficiency of support and facilities? Can you share with us how you deal with it, Mr. Shafiq?
Okay, so thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question because for me, learning administrative science, I was lucky enough that to know my course doesn't really need, to attend facility or to, be in the faculty to learn. My course is very flexible. I can learn it in class. I can learn it at home. I can learn it wherever I feel like will be easy for me to understand. But when I want to talk about challenges, one of the challenges were during the first year of COVID. Let's start from there. The first challenge that I had was the flexibility of time, meaning I can divide it into two. Flexibility when doing tests, assignments, doing quizzes. I'm all right with that because as we all know that not everyone has a very strong internet connection or a very good internet when wanting to do them. So I understand when lectures extended from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening, but still setting a duration of like 2 hours or 3 hours. I'm all right with that. But what I felt was one of the things that I've also read online, to which other students, not from only my university, but also from other universities, was that the flexibility of time to when students receive new assignments or new informations, but not at the time where it's needed. That what I'm meaning is that when students receive information during holidays, during weekends, during their off days, in the beginning when we started online learning, when the movement control order was to start back in March 18, if I'm not wrong, we had 2 weeks of no classes, because at the beginning we thought that we were gonna that COVID was gonna disappear in like 2 weeks miraculously. But after that we started classes, and early on it was all right. It felt like normal. Classes started at 8, and then there are subjects and other times. But as weeks goes by, as months goes by, the pressure of not only the pressure but also the stresses, the feeling of being burnt down, because of the amount where we felt like, us students here, we felt like the work given is double in comparison if we were to do a classes face to face, meaning that during online we've received so many how do you say, so many information that I felt personally is actually doubled in comparison to if I were to be in class and learn there. And also when we just started online learning, I was just elected as in my class as a class representative, which is me being the link between the lecturers and the students in my classes. So at that time, I had a huge responsibility because if I wasn't there, the lecturers won't be able to tell any new information to the students in class. So at that time, I felt like giving up was an option, but I always told to myself where I have started so far, I've gone through a semester. Even though I've reached one semester of face-to-face classes, it will be a waste for me to stop now. And also, when I'm talking about being a leader of a certain class, a representative of a class, I was fortunate enough to have classmates and friends that helped me with give motivations to me when I felt down. Help me when I felt like I wasn't doing the right thing, because I know I am a human being just like everyone else, and I was gonna do mistakes at some point. But I felt like with them by my side and with them actually like giving me the help that I need, it was the boost that I needed to got through my second semester, my third semester, and currently I am in my fourth semester, which is the end of my second year. And I felt like my biggest help or my biggest assistance to survive during ODL, during online learning, was because I had friends who I can trust and I can depend on them, even when I feel like I'm doing something wrong or I'm stuck somewhere. Because there was at one point where I'll just share just a little bit, where there's this one point where I had a very serious family problem when I was learning at home. Right now, behind me here, I'm in campus to avoid any like distractions. But back when I was at home, I had a very serious family problems, which really interrupted me and put me off focus to my studies and my assignments. But I praise God that I have friends with that. I had my parts of the assignments to do, but they helped cover it for me to make it more nice in our final subjects, our final assignments. So I say that one of the biggest help was for me to share with everyone is to make sure that you guys have friends. Make sure you maintain that relationship between friends, because we're doing online in this together. No one here is not doing online because of this COVID. So in order for us to actually succeed during this online is to always keep in contact with your friends. If you don't know anything, you ask them. That's the only way for you to survive and for you to understand what the lecturers are teaching. Because we can't always text the lecturers, to say or to ask them at certain point, because even though there are flexibility of time, but as students, we always have that, sense of it's not appropriate if we were to text them at this time. Let's say flexibility of time, maybe at 6 in the evening, which is already past working hours. It's already feel a bit of like disrespectful if you were to text them at that time. So I feel like my biggest challenge at the time was the flexibility of time, where informations were given outside of studying hours, which is 8 to 5. And also for me being a new, a class representative was one of the hardest challenge for me to carry such responsibilities for my class and my connections with the lecturers. So have I taken too much, moderator?
No, are you okay? Are you finishing up?
Well, I think I can conclude with how did I actually got through the first year of COVID was, it is true that anything, like for example for my course, I'm learning statistics, I'm learning accounting, I'm learning human resource, and all of that. It is true that I can search it on Google. I can search it. I can do stuff. Do some research. I can get the answers that I want online because my course, my area of study requires like no need for to go to the facility or using a laboratory or going to the classes. So I feel like whatever advantages we have, especially the online way we're using, I feel like we should take advantage of it. Even though there are some, there are some misinformation, but that comes for us students to ensure that we take the right information from the right sources. So and one more, I feel like I couldn't stress this enough, is to get in contact with your friends always, share your problems, and then because us, if we contain or if we don't say anything that is hurting us emotionally, mentally, physically, it's gonna drain us out. And the only thing, because I have a friend who texted me privately, who felt like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for them to continue learning this because it's online. There's no fun in it. But I've only told them, so if you were to say this, then why didn't you stop when you have come to the university, when you've applied it? Did you think through of all the challenges that might arise? So the only thing I said to them was, you can do this. Anytime you need help, you can ask me, you can ask your friends, you can ask the lecturers. They are there to help us. So for me to say to you, everyone, to open up. Don't be scared, okay? Don't be scared. And then for the other people, those who are asking you questions, please be open. Please be respected. Please be as friendly as you can, because we know that everyone has problems, but there are some people who, with you helping them, it might actually make their day. It may actually give them more motivation to continue their studies. I think that is all for me. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Amir Shafiq, for a very contentful sharing just now. So as he said, we need to be as close as possible with our classmates and friends, because usually they who always are going to be there for us, right? Yeah. So why can I call for Miss Amina to give her part on this discussion?
Yes, of course. So in the spring of 2020, we began our emergency online instruction due to the breakout of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in order to ensure the whole teaching learning process to go as smoothly as possible, we decided to start using the Teams platform. Now, the beginning was quite challenging, I have to say, both for the students as well as for the instructors, because first of all, we had some internet connection problems that we have already mentioned, and then Teams was completely new to us, so there were a lot of problems there as well. But what we kind of managed to do was to basically get everything organized within those first 2 weeks that we expected the pandemic to be over in, and we started using it. We started using Teams more confidently, and now, having used it for a year and a half, we can say that we have become quite familiar with it. Now, all of us here do understand all the advantages and disadvantages of online education, but I would like to say that the biggest drawback, of course, is necessary academic integrity, and to make sure, for example, that all sorts of cheats debated on and discussed at length. But it's especially important in the context of now modern online education, simply because of the students can cheat more easily than in the classroom environment. Now, However, we can also mention, and we also understand that there are certain benefits of this type of education, such as students being able to study at their own pace. Not being able or not feeling forced, not being able, but not being forced or not feeling forced to communicate with others, especially if they are more introverted and prefer studying on their own or working on their own. So this is one of the major benefits for those introverted types. But one of the most important benefits would definitely be the availability of the instructor or the teacher to give individual feedback to their students at their own convenience or at any given time, for that matter. This is something that Amiro Shafiki, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, has also mentioned, and this is something that is very important. I can tell you as an instructor that I have been available for my students 24/7. So I would start receiving messages early in the morning, 6 and 7, and it would not finish until, let's say, 11, 12 in the evening. And every time I would see a message pop up on my screen, I would look at it, I would reply to it, I would try to do my best to basically help my students, because I felt that they needed my help. And I think I made, okay, it's not a mistake, but I think I made a mistake because I downloaded the app on my mobile phone. Otherwise, it would have been probably much easier. But I had a feeling that I had to. I had a feeling that without it, I would be missing on so many things, and I wanted to be there for them. And I also know that my professors, actually, all of them, during my PhD studies, felt the same way and did the same thing. So that was really, really very appreciated by all of us, and we felt like they were there for us. And this is something that made a huge difference. So I would like to finish with this, and of course, I'm sure we will talk about some more things later on when we start answering our students' questions, right? So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amina. And as to recap a little bit from what Ms. Amina said just now is, first, having the problem to maintain academic integrity, since we are online, so we don't really know what our students is doing, right? And second is, but there's also a benefit to it, which is a student and lecturer availability, since Ms. Amina here is replying text 24/7. So yes, that is some insight from Ms. Amina just now. So moving on to our next panel, can we call from Indonesia? Mr. Ramadan, are you okay to share us a little bit about, to answer our question just now?
Hello. So yeah. So as for my opinion on the question just now, as for me myself, I am taking PR or public relations, and as for your information, we don't have a lot of exams, we don't have a lot of papers to do, but most of our final tests and most of final marks are from events, and this is one of the biggest challenge for us, for our PR students, because mostly when we do our project, we do events, we do our physical gatherings, we do a lot of how do I say, parties, for example. But then when the MCO struck, and it hit us very hard, like it's been 1 year, 2 year, we don't have any physical events yet. So it is quite a challenge for us and for me to cope with the new way of learning and way to do events. So this one thing that I'm quite shocked is that a few of my friends who are the diploma students of PR, they do how do they say, haunted house, ghost house. But I was quite surprised. How do they manage to do that? So it was quite a surprise, because we actually have the power to survive this. We have actually the ability to pass this hard moments. It's just that we have to deepen our thoughts more. It's just that we have to strive more, even though everything is online now. It does mean that we use less strive to obtain what we want, but it is actually a quite challenge for us to gain what we want from our daily lives. But then when we have to do this online, we have to do a different level of benchmark. So this is where our problem solving is tested, and this is where our leadership is tested, because when we face a new situation, when we face new challenges, it is our time to shine. It is our opportunity to change ourselves. So, and also another thing that is quite difficult for me is I went my research online. I do my thesis online, so I can't go to my campus library. Even though, yeah, sometimes when we want to, look for quiet place to go, so yeah, sometimes house isn't the best place to study, and I would say everyone mostly agree with that, because we have a lot of hassles in our house. We have our families, we have our roommates and friends that might break our focus. So it is quite a challenge for me. And also another thing that is, I believe, everyone face is self-management, because when we are in our house, we feel very, very lazy, especially when we do our works on our laptop, on our lap, on our bed. And it is quite, when we are on our bed, we don't feel like studying, we don't feel like working, we feel like relaxing all the time. We feel like we feel like doing nothing at all. So that's why I said just now, it is our time. It is our time where our self-management and our leadership and problem-solving level is tested. So it doesn't mean it's always bad to have these new challenges, but it's also a quite good change for us. I think that is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramadan. Good. I mean, for whatever it means to everyone, studying at home has its own challenges, and being in campus like Mr. Amirul is also have its own challenges, right? And he also talks about self-management and how he also tried to manage his study at home, which is a challenge I can see. But also I'd like to point out how he also mentioned his learning style and how they actually do manage a program while being online. The ghost house, as mentioned just now, is I can summarize it into a simple paragraph, which is new challenges includes the duty to innovate and our method, right, to survive in these new norms. So our next presenter or panel, I would like to call for Maisa Saravanan, Mr. Maisa Saravanan, but I'm curious whether I should say that you are from US or from Port Dickson.
Yeah, I'm in Port Dickson right now, so
Port Dickson
feel
right
free
now.
to say both. Yeah.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Maisa Saravanan.
Hello, everyone. So before I start my response to the question, I'd just like to thank the organizers today for having me for this event. It was really interesting to hear everyone's experiences and hardships faced, and I really look forward to hearing everyone's challenges and how they cope with it. So just a little bit of background. I'm currently studying in the US, but I'm back in PD for summer break. So, and this is my third year in the US. So back in September 2020, I flew back to the United States to continue my studies because unfortunately my university adopted a hybrid policy, which means the first half of the semester is fully in person and the second half is fully online. So it was quite challenging in a sense that being an international student in a foreign country that by itself is a pretty challenging thing to go through. You know what I'm saying? Because you being halfway across the world with your parents being 12 hours behind you. So 12 hours ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah. So it's very hard to complain to my mom when it's like 2 p.m. in the US and it's 2 a.m. in the morning here. So one thing I really learned to cope is how do I do things on my own? Because previously when it was prior to the pandemic, life was somewhat easy because you had many options to travel. You had friends to go out with to assist you in things. You could ask some locals to help you about. But once the pandemic happened, everyone started to get a bit frightened with getting into social context. You know what I'm saying? Because I myself, I actually an asthma patient, so I am very afraid of the COVID-19 pandemic. So my housemate and I pretty much were stuck at home the whole time. The only time we left home was basically to attend classes, and that itself was a big fear because I can take care of myself, but I can't dictate what other people do. So if one guy decides to pull down his mask and sneeze in class, there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I'm saying? So especially in the US, their approach towards the COVID-19 pandemic is way more lax compared to what we have in Malaysia. So for example, last summer, we had to do COVID tests before we were allowed to leave the airport itself. But when I flew back to the US in September, we didn't even have to do a COVID test. I just straight went home. So from there, you can see the approach towards the COVID-19 pandemic itself. So yeah, and another thing that really struck me was the fear of healthcare in the US, because it's very expensive in the US healthcare. So if you were to get COVID-19, there's one study showed that it would cost in person average around $30,000 to treat COVID-19, which is basically 120,000 ringgit. So pretty much I was very afraid. I was very afraid to go to classes, and classes was not easy as I'm currently in my third year. So it was a bit of a challenge, I would say. And at the time as well, I was also the vice president for the Malaysian Students Association at my university. And many of my university mates who were Malaysians were reaching out to me, complaining about how they were concerned and worried about the whole pandemic and how it affected them personally. So like most of them were worried about how they were going to pay rent and living expenses, because most of them, 30,000 USD. That's according to Time magazine. So you can check that later. But yeah, so that was pretty much a very difficult time for us, I would say, because we were only allowed to work on campus. And at that time, the university was running on a minimal level. That means only the necessities like classroom were open. So the dining centers were closed, the gyms were closed, and those were the places that offered employment for students, as international students are only allowed to work on campus. So most of my friends were lost, they did not have a source of income. And without a source of income, how are you going to pay for food? How are you going to pay for bills? How are you going to pay for rent? So all of that, you put so much pressure on the kids, especially in a foreign country. Who are you going to call? Mom? Mom's not going to help you. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciated when Shafiq mentioned that we have to look out for each other, because I think as students, we really need to look out for each other. That is why me and the president of my association and myself, we created a program called Masa, which is basically Malaysian Students Association Cares, which is an initiative to take care of the well-being of Malaysian students in the United States through three critical aspects of welfare, which is physical health, mental health, and career opportunities. So that is the three things that we believe is really important. And I think, as Alina has mentioned, it is very important, mental health these days, with the additional stress of studying, maintaining your work, as well as trying to find an income. So I would say overall, it's been a challenging year, not just for myself, but for a lot of my friends. And I was super duper lucky to have good friends who was there for me, who were there to help me when I was stuck at home, who was there to jump in a video call with. So I would say it was really good. And honestly, I was so proud of everyone who went through all the pain and all the hardships throughout the pandemic. And I would just like to congratulate everyone on finding ways to get by and coping with all the hardships. So please give yourself a huge pat on the back for a job well done, and look forward for brighter days. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maisa. And yeah, I think it's very crucial that we have good support groups, and because in a way it helps us get through hard times. Although it's really shocking to hear from as a Malaysian, knowing that in US the healthcare bill is 30K. So that's just crazy, I can say. Yeah, but thank you for your insightful sharing just now. Let me get back a little bit to the audiences. To inform, if there are any of question that from the audience that would like to ask towards our panelists here today, you can leave them in the question. You can leave them in the chat box down below. And I would like to thank you everyone again in advance for staying with us throughout the event. Okay. Next from Albania, Ms. Anna Limani, would you care to share with us your challenges
Yes.
facing the pandemic?
Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying this experience sharing now with all of you. I think it's very important, especially in isolation times like the pandemic was, to not feel alone and to learn the good practices from each other's experiences. The pandemic was much unexpected to us. It was a year of uncertainty when we did not know what was going to happen. We did not know. We switched to doing things in ways we were not used to. Personally, my COVID-19 learning experience was kind of different than the others because I decided to study abroad in the middle of the pandemic. I went on an Erasmus exchange semester in Masa University in Brno in Czech Republic. Back then, it was the beginning of the pandemic when the applications had just started. I know that Erasmus was a great experience because my university, Metropolitan Tirana University, has very strong partnerships, and I had already been in another Erasmus experience before. But in this time, I was skeptic about it because many universities in Albania started canceling the exchanges, and the students were not able to go because also there were travel restrictions. But for my good, my university encouraged me to apply and to supported me through all the process with the documentation, with the communication with the host university, the visa process and all that, because at the time it was kind of stressful. That is why I always say that even for great students, it's important to have behind you a strong institution that is always supporting you and giving you opportunities. During all the process, everything was changing and we were never sure what was going to happen next. Even for me, even one day before my flight, I was not sure if I was gonna, because the entry regulations for different countries were changing very frequently. In the end, I ended up going there. Digital learning experience was also different because I was introduced to, and that is different from other universities or other students experiencing it, because in your university, you already know your professors, you already have established some relationship, you know their teaching methods and styles, so you just have to switch online to what you already know, and you have a support system behind you with the professors and the other students. But when you're going for a new university, new place, new everything, I got to know them online and continued everything online. But personally, this was a great experience. The professors were very helpful, and I had the opportunity to study some courses that will help me in my career. I even ended up giving a presentation to IBM, which is a very important company in the field of IT. And at the same time, since everything was online in every country, I also had the opportunity to study and to attend some courses in my home university. Therefore, it was easier for me to get back on track easily when I got back to Albania. But this was a good experience, learning experience. But Erasmus, as we know, besides the learning part, is also about socializing, getting to know new people from different countries, different backgrounds, and also traveling. This is the only part that I suffered a little bit on because it was not able to have socializing events or to travel to different countries. We only had some socializing, networking events online from the university, but I would have enjoyed it much more if it wasn't for COVID, getting to know new people. But to sum it up, I think that all that happened was very proactive because we now have the tools and a way of working which we would not have discovered otherwise. We learned that there is another way of doing things and maybe even a better way to do things. And I'm sure that we will still continue now to use some digital tools that we discovered because they are very efficient. And in the end, we learned that we are global students. We are global people. Like, as I'm sharing this experience with you now, we're from different parts of the world. you might as well be a student at my university or a student at another university in the furthest location you could think of. And I think this is the great opportunity we have now. Maybe it was not the most positive way to learn it, but at least now we know. And in the end, I know that for all of us, if we manage to study, to graduate, to have a good experience in the middle of a pandemic, we know now that we are prepared to do anything. I can do anything, you can do anything. So we are more prepared for our future challenges. If anyone else will discuss even more for questions, or if you have any curiosity, I'm free to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Anna. As let me quote what Anna just said, we are global people, which means that you have to operate as such. And I think it's really difficult being an international student. You have to get to know your professor, your friends online. You cannot really physically socialize with them. I think that's a challenge that we all are facing too, each from different part of the world, right? So thank you again, Miss Anna. And next, I would like to call Aflin from Malaysia. Mr. Aflin, are you there?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Okay, Assalamualaikum and evening to Datu Rector, Dean FSPP, to committee, and to all the students that attending this event tonight. So yeah, first of all, I'm very honored to be here. So thank you for inviting me. So yeah, obviously you can see I'm at my room at home since Malaysia is now locked down. We can't go anywhere. So yeah, to be honest, I haven't talked in English one in person for a very, very long time. So yeah, my English will be bit. Don't worry, just a bit. Don't worry, just a bit. But yeah, I'll try my best. So anyway, so the questions that have been asked by the panel is what am I? And first, most of the view is students. So yeah, I'm going to talk about my journey in online classes, or my journey in my study throughout this pandemic. So yeah, let's start. Yeah, I've heard from many people that online classes really, really burdens a lot of people, including me myself. So yeah, throughout my journey, there's a lot of challenges that I faced during pandemic. There's a lot, like a lot, to be honest. I'm luckily all the course that I take for now, all the subject that I take for now during this SEM, and also from the previous SEM, it doesn't require me to use any lab or whatever. So yeah, that's a good thing for me. So anyway, so if you guys want me to pick one, I would say that the most challenging things that I need to face during this pandemic is I would say the surrounding, the environment itself. Why? Because it is hard for me to focus when I'm at home, and there's too many distractions when we are at home. One of it is my bed at the back. That's one of the distractions that I always receive, because it keeps calling me during classes. It keeps calling me to go to bed and whatever it is. And also, I'm the type of guys that like to disturb, to annoy my friend during physics classes. And yeah, what I mean is I do really like to have interactions with them. It keeps me less stressed and less sleepy in class. Yeah. So when this happened, when the COVID-19 hit Malaysia and the government need to close the public university and also private, it really, really burdens me, because in online classes, we don't really have interaction. Yeah, what I mean is we don't really have the real face-to-face interaction with someone. You know what I mean? If you talk virtually, you can't really feel what the interaction. You can't really feel the interactions, and I can't feel the learning in class environment. So yeah, so at first I thought it is going to be easy. Because at first I thought I will have more time for myself, but it turns out it is not. So yeah, So it takes 2 semesters for me to adapt with the changes. So yeah, I'm going to tell you guys. So why suddenly I change? Why suddenly I realized that I need to deal with the changes? I need to cope up with these changes. I'll tell you guys. It is because basically it is because of one lecturer, which is my lecturer, which is Madam Dayang. So yeah, she basically give a book to the whole class to read, and the title of the books oh yeah, so the title of the book is Who Moved My Cheese. So basically, I'm not going to tell you the whole book because I do not have enough time. But the book is actually about changes, a story about changes. So if I ask you guys right now, do you guys want to change if you are in a comfortable spot? I'm 100% sure, 100% confidence. Most probably you guys would say no. Because I also would say no. But yeah, after reading the book, it changed my whole perspective on changing lah. So yeah, everyone likes to be in comfortable spot, but you guys need to remember that there will always be a consequences on that. So anyway, so the next day, after I finished reading the book, what I did is what I did is I'll try my best to mimicking what I did when I was in the physical class. Yeah, I know it sound dumb and silly, but anyway, it works for me. How I do it? It is very simple and easy. When I feel bored, when I feel sleepy during classes, I'll try to not hear the lectures for 5 minutes, or maybe sometimes it can be more than 5 minutes. And during that time, I'll open my phones and I'll check whoever I want to chat at that time. It can be my friends, it can be my siblings. And yeah, I'll to maybe sometimes annoy them until I feel I'm okay. Then I'll refocus back on the class. What I mean is I'll try to separate myself first from the class for a while, so that I can wake myself from getting sleepy during the classes. Thing to do, but yeah, I have no other choice because I believe if you have any problem during this pandemic, I just want you guys to try to find your own routine that make you feel comfortable with the environment that you are in at the time. For me, that's my style just now. I'll think about the past, what makes me less stressed, what make me less stressed during classes, and I'll try my best to follow back the routine, even though it is not 100% the same. But for me, it works. So you guys just try to think on your own first. Try to understand yourself more during this pandemic. It may take time, but it is really worthwhile because at the end of the day, it is you that attend the class. You are the one that is struggling. So yeah, try to find ways for yourself. Don't make any problem that you face right now become a reason for your grades to go down. So yeah, I think that's so yeah. Before I end my talk, I hope that my sharing right now can help you guys in the future, or maybe inspire you guys, because I can't really teach anyone by just sharing experience, but I just can make you guys at least think. So yeah, also in addition, so yeah, life is unpredictable. We just always need to be prepared for the best and also for the best. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Aplin. I guess I can just recap a bit from what the sharing session just now with the environment itself. Some people have different style of studying, like Mr. Aplin having to struggle from the callings of his bed.
With laptops devices since our first year of university, which made it easier for us because we had advice to access the online internet, the online lesson. Now, for me, the first days were okay and not very exhausted. I was very motivated to learn. I would follow all the classes, I would do my homework, etc. That was because in the beginning, we didn't know much what was going to happen, and we all thought that it wouldn't last long, and we thought that probably by April or May this would be over and we would be back at normal. But unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. So as days went, 2 months went by, my motivation started to go down, stressed. Got to that point, especially of May, where it was like 2 months in a quarantine. It got to the and it didn't know, and I didn't know Albania had so many great places. And actually, I invite all of you to add Albania into your to visit list, because you will not be disappointed. I think it's really no music, but during the day was okay. So summer was great. Now we started the school back at November, and we started the school back at November, and we were again online schooling. But this time we were it wasn't combined with a quarantine, so that made it easier for us. Because yeah, we were online schooling, but at least we were able to go out, to go with our friends, to live our life, and etc., etc. Now this year in 2020, me and another group of students from our university, we thought that probably like us, there must be other students that need help during this season. So we thought, and we come up with an idea to build a platform dedicated to students. Now the platform that we created, which was founded by a French institution named AUF, consists on helping students dealing with studying during COVID. In the website, we publish articles related to the current situation. We give advices on how to help students studying and preparing for test season. And as well, we have experience sharing, and we also on that platform work with a professional psychologist who has agreed to have live discussions and answers question from our viewers. So yeah, so to conclude all, my experience wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst as well. And this time was difficult, and it caught all us, I suppose, and I think unprepared, but we should be thankful that we were able to survive it till now and hope for a better times. I think that this time taught us, and I think now we are a little bit more prepared to face these challenges in the future. With this, I'm closing my speech, and I want to thank every one of you who listened to me.
Thank you, Mr. Lerulo, for that interesting sharing now. And I think it's really important that the institution, university provides help for students who are currently facing pandemic, right? And like Mr. Lulu, he's a very cheerful guy, as you can see. So yeah, I hope that we can hear a bit more from you after this. Now moving on to our next panel from United States as well, Mr. Zulamin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Hi, everyone. Yeah, as we all heard before, the COVID-19 poses different challenges to everyone. For me, myself, I feel like the biggest challenge I faced was keeping up with all the informations and all the guidelines that keep coming to me. I feel like keeping up with the most updated one, or like making sure that I'm doing the right thing, is probably the hardest one for myself. I feel like, for example, in education-wise, even though the cases are like going up in the US, surprisingly, my university, Purdue University, was during August last year, after going online for about 3 months, and then we decided to go like, okay, we're going to open up the campus, everyone is allowed to come back, and then they give the opportunity, they give professors one class to be like half online, half physical, or there's some professors be like, oh, let's meet every even weeks, and let's meet online every other weeks. Like, I feel like keeping up with all these changes and like knowing which things that need to be done is really hard, and it takes time for me. Like, okay, this week is I have to go to class, or should I just sit in my room and attend online, or things like that are like really hard for me. And then at the same time, there's so many emails that keep coming up, like because here we use emails as our main communication tool with the professors. So the professors keep sending emails like, oh, we have to do this, we have to do this, and like keeping up with all of that, actually, I think it's become really challenging for me. And then despite having a physical classes, as Mahesa shared before, we can control ourselves, but we cannot control what other peoples are doing. And especially for those who living like in dorms and on campus, like they live in a communal living where we don't know what they're doing out there. So coming to campus, it's really like I feel insecure to sit in a room with all those people, and it can be as big as a huge lecture room as well. And then I think I still remember in one of my classes, there's like one guy who always sit in front of me, and then suddenly he disappeared for 2 weeks. And then it turned out that he got COVID, and then he was isolating himself for 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, he got COVID, and he was sitting in front of me this whole time. Sometimes I got freaking out like that. And then yeah, I go get tested, and then like do all these things to make sure that I actually didn't cut the virus as well. On the other hand, I feel like on top of keeping up with all of these studies, as an international student, we also have to keep updating with the immigration issues and the immigration rules. As we all know, last year it was like a little bit political side was like there's a lot of uncertainties because it's an election season. So most of the international students weren't really sure what's going to happen. Some students were deciding to go back and weren't really sure if they can come back in the US or they can even leave the country. So these like concerns and like questions keep rising among the students. They're not sure what they should do. Should they just stay in the US and just like live in their room, not going out, or they could just go out and just, I don't know, do something. These kind of things actually hard for us, and keep updating with all these informations is really challenging. On top of the other things that I feel like social life also negatively impacted. When I come to the US, I would feel like I would have a different life experience, campus experience compared to Malaysia, where like there's so many students activities and like for example, Malaysian Student Association at Purdue have our own Malaysian Cultural Festival in the September normally, but during COVID, we couldn't do anything. And most of the student events were canceled and weren't allowed to do on campus because of COVID. Other things that I feel become a challenge for us was, yeah, I said before, like the uncertainties, it's things that sometimes keep changing, like, oh, I thought that I can do that. Suddenly one day that I can't do it anymore, or the other way around as well. Someone asked about me, my experience with Raya. So since I haven't go back to Malaysia since COVID outbreak, so I experienced 2 Eid Mubarak here. The first time was last year. It was during June, if I'm not mistaken. So our very small Malaysian community here went back to Malaysia. So there's only a few people left on campus. So, and we weren't really comfortable enough to go out. So the Raya, like perantauan that I was imagining is totally different last year. I end up spending Raya by myself in my room, cooking my food for myself, and then just spending Raya with myself and like video calling people. But luckily, a few months back, for this Raya for this year, it's actually changed a lot because most of us already got vaccinated, and then we actually were able to go out and actually spend Raya together, but still in a small group, to make sure that everything is safe. So being an international student here, like Mahesa said, poses a lot of challenges. Things keep changing, and keeping up with all these changes is really hard for us. But luckily, I feel there's so many resources out there, and communication is really important. I realized that my professors, my instructors are always there. Whenever I email them asking about confirmation or asking clarifications or asking about anything, they were always there to reply my emails. They're always there to help me, to guide me, to help me in any ways they can. My friends out there are always there, like helping me keeping up to date with everything that I might miss, or also like telling me what things that I should do, or like also just calling me just to say hi, or just asking what's up. And also there's universities and student organizations also out there to keep updating students. For example, there's a big student organization body in the US, is led by Malaysian students. It's called NAMSA, or like National Assembly of Malaysian Students in America. They work closely with the Malaysian Embassy in the US and also Education Malaysia in the US. They engage with students, they ask students' well-being, they update students with current immigration issues, current immigration laws, helping us to make sure that we all doing okay. So I think all these resources are always out there, and I think we have to take initiative to actually to reach out to them, to actually, because they're always there to help us, and we are the one have to go out there and help them. So overall, I feel like it might not be living here in the US during COVID-19. It might not be my expectation living in the US might be different because of COVID, but also I realized there's a lot of things that I learned that being in the US while this COVID-19 happened was that there are always people out there to help me, that I'm not alone. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zulamin. I think it's important and crucial for us as students to always try to reach out to any possible sources so that we are not getting left behind. And also, students, me, myself, please do check up on each of your friends, ask how are they doing. I think the pro at this is Aflin, always trying to ask his friend or what they're doing. And yeah, Zulamin, it's sad to hear that you have to celebrate your Eid overseas. I hope you don't try to cook lemang on out there. All right. Okay. Yeah, again, I would like to I guess thank all the lecturers and teachers out there who always try emailing or calling your students to make sure that they are on track too as well. So let's move to our final panel that will be answering our question just now for our first session. Miss Idona Zenali from Albania, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me the
Hi.
pleasure to explain my situation and how it went. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was in Erasmus in Poland, but at that time it was not that hard because it had just started, so we didn't know much of it. But after I came in Albania, and just in a week, everything happened. Albania went under lockdown, but I couldn't stay in Albania, so I had to go back home. I went back to Macedonia, everything closed, border closed, everything was, I couldn't have access so that I could come to Albania, but thankfully my university, in just a couple of days, I think it was 3 days or something, I'm not sure about it, they transferred everything online. So all the lectures, all the seminars, everything was online. At the beginning, it was hard, as you all may know, because we all experienced that part of online learning, that we were not used to being online, being home. We had our difficulties. It was one problem was the privacy, as someone else said. We were not alone home, so we had people around us. We couldn't go out. We couldn't do anything. But with the help of our professors and the university and ourselves, we have to be more thankful to ourselves, because if it wasn't for us, we were not going to do it. And it was quite hard. Getting used to it, new methods of learning, not being able to communicate face-to-face with our professors, only by emails and Zoom meetings and everything. But in the end, what was most important, that they were there for us. They have helped us with everything. And we kind of managed to do it. We did. It was hard, but we did. my most importantly for me, and the most scary part was when my university announced that they were going to start going to auditors. But the problem was that I was in a complete different country. The border lines were all closed. I couldn't come back to Albania, and all the time for 2 weeks I was talking with my dean's office. I was talking with the police and the embassies that, so I could get an answer. So when will the borders open? But there was no answer, and I was so anxious because it was my second year, and I was afraid that I was not going to attend my classes. I was not going to attend my exams, and I was going to fail that year. So it was quite a stressful situation and time for me. But thankfully, just 1 week after my school started going to auditors and the exam started, the borders opened. So I was free to go without quarantine or anything. But still, it was that was the most stressful part for me, the pandemic. But we managed. We all did, as I can see, and thankfully we're all healthy and our families are healthy and everyone is healthy. That's most importantly. So this was my experience with COVID-19 and learning and everything. It was quite rough, let's say, but hearing others' experiences, it has worse always. So we have to be thankful for everything that we have. If you have any more questions, I will feel free to ask. It was going to be my pleasure to answer all of you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Edona. I'm quite sure we have plenty of questions for you because we are entering our second session actually. And without further ado, I would like to still remind our audiences that to keep the questions coming into the chat so I can ask your panelists here today. And with this, our first session ends here. And before we proceed to the next session, I think I can give everyone a breather, I guess, for talking a bit quite a while just now. So before I can just like go through the question for you guys, and there's plenty actually. So can we, I think, begin with directed to actually Mahisa and Mr. Mahisa, Mr. Ramadan, and Mr. Zulamin from the chat box. Did any of and any of you, are you guys satisfied with the step and action taken by your university to safeguard the welfare of students during the pandemic? I think we can start with either one of you three. Probably Mahisa.
Yeah, sure. Before I go into the question, Hari, you don't have to call me Mr. Maisha. You can just call me Maisha.
Okay,
That's fine. Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong. The question is, am I satisfied with my university's actions?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So honestly, I think my university did a pretty good job in ensuring the safety of the students at my university. So basically, we had very strict rules. So there was like you are supposed to put on your mask the whole time in class. Although there are some times when students rebelled against the rules, but most of the times they were kicked out of class. So there was no issues on that part. On the first day of classes, the lecturers were forced to like give everyone mask in case someone says that they don't have a mask, and there's like sanitizers on every table. So in that sense, I would say all the prevention steps were taken. I would say, besides that, all the tables were arranged in such a way that there is social distancing. Most of the dining centers were arranged in a way where there's 6 feet of distance. There's also like a list of rules pasted everywhere so that everyone is aware of what's going on. There's also updates through emails. So like every week you'll get like a total like a rundown on what the university has implemented and the number of cases there is on campus, and like which classes should look out in case, because there's like one person from this class may have gotten COVID. So please look out for yourself. And if you have any symptoms, the university's health center, because our university has a health center, and you can just walk down there and it's free of charge. You can get yourself tested, and within 2-3 days you get the results. And our university, in one sense, did a really good job. Is they also provided dorms for students with COVID. So, for example, if you don't really have a place to stay, and you can't really self-isolate at your own place, you can come to the school and like pay a minimal fee, and you're basically taken care of there. So that's one thing I'm really proud of my university for doing. So overall, I think my university did the best they could do in helping the students manage the whole COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a good thing to actually have from the institution itself. So how about Mr. Ramadan, or Ramadan, if you will? How do you respond to this? Okay, I think we can skip to, or save it the question a little bit for him later. How about Zulami? What do you feel about the question?
Yeah, I feel like I'm satisfied with what everything that my university have been doing. Like similar to Marisa's been saying, I think my university also implement almost exactly the same thing in terms of social distancing in class, with the rules and regulations, and as well as guidelines. I think one thing that I love, all the students who decided to come on campus were put in a big, like a lottery or kind of something, and then every week they will draw 2% of it to get randomly tested, and then you were required to get tested. If not, you were barred to going into classes, and then they will, from that, whoever got random tested, you get your result back into who were positive. They'll also do contact tracing, like whoever go to the class with you, or if that person will get tested as well. That's one thing. Second thing is, like, as the vaccination is, like, COVID vaccine is coming really fast in the US, Purdue University become of the vaccination center. So they try to vaccinate everyone on campus as well, and they encourage everyone to get vaccinated. Thankfully, next semester, since almost everyone on campus already vaccinated, a lot of rules were being removed. And then vaccinated, they were required to get tested every week starting next semester. So is that a way to encourage everyone to get vaccinated? So I think, like, my university done a very good job in controlling COVID-19 spread among the students on
that's
campus.
great. I think strong institutional response is always required to handle the pandemic, right? And I think Mr. Ramadan has entered now. So are you there, Ramadan?
Hello. Yes, sorry for
Hi.
the
Oh yeah,
connection.
that's a question for you actually. Are you okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the question again?
Are you satisfied with this step and action taken by your university to safeguard? Are you satisfied with this step and action taken by your university to safeguard the students' welfare during the pandemic?
One thing I would say, because we went through the MCO twice already upon our fasting month. Was it? Yeah, we did 2 years ago. 2 years ago punya what is it? Fasting. So my campus, they always give every day iftar for all of our students that live nearby campus. Is either dome that is provided from the campus, or apartments nearby MSU. So I think my uni in that point, they gave a good well-being for our students. And also other thing is that I think a few times they also did like zakat. They give a few money donations to students who are in need in special occasions, and also they give a lot of charities and social events also to our students as well. So I think that yeah, there are a few pros and cons during these times, you know. But then our uni tries its best to support the students, either that live nearby or not live nearby. I think that is all. Is that enough or is it less?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think financial institution also would really be should be really active in identifying students who are in need of help, right? So I'm glad that in your situation that you have those financial supports from Zakat, if I'm not mistaken. And um, next question, we have for Mr. Alert, Lulu, and Idona. Is both of you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So I can proceed with the question to Miss Idona. Can you share your personal best coping mechanism with online?
Well, I'm such a virtual person, so I mostly learn while watching something. For me, it was not a problem because most of my courses and everything that I do, I learn from online classes. Because everything that I have to do is in the internet. And for me, it was not a problem staying 6 hours in front of the laptop to up to 8 hours. But most importantly, one of my, let's say, main secrets, it was that I used to listen to the teacher for a whole hour without staying on my phone or everything. But for 5 minutes, I would just turn the volume off and just relax, because if I was going to start and listen to him for the whole time, I was going to lose interest in listening to him, and I was not going to be motivated or had my mind in the lecture. So that was one of the ways that I was coping with it, because we all know we cannot be focused on something for 2 hours straight. We need little breaks. Even now that we are in the auditors, I do little breaks, and we have in class little little breaks. But also online we had to do them, so I did them. 1 hour I was listening to the professors and the lecturers, but for 5 minutes I was just doing my own things. That was one of the ways that I coped with my online learning.
All right. Thank you, Miss Idona. And I think we can move on to the next question. I think I would pass this to Miss Amina. Have you ever experienced burnout, and can you share how do you cope with it?
Oh, well, I have to be honest and tell you that definitely yes. Definitely, yes. There were times when I felt overwhelmed and completely, I actually had too much to do at times, marking, for example, my students' assignments or exams or quizzes, and having to finish my own exams at the same time. So sometimes, yeah, it would definitely be too much. But I also found these mechanisms that Idona talked about, such as, for example, listening to my favorite music for 10 to 15 minutes, to make those short breaks that make a huge difference, since we all know we have those breaks in the classroom settings, right? So why don't we, and why not have them in online environment, in the online environment as well? They are definitely necessary, and in order to avoid that from ever happening again, I started applying those strategies basis. So every time I would feel like I was going to be overwhelmed, or I was approaching, the highest level of burnout possible, I would just stop. I would find some ways to relax, to unwind, and to basically make sure that I would be my old self again. Also, weekend hikings, because, at times we were also locked, so we couldn't we could leave, our apartments and homes, but just for a couple of hours, but it didn't last too long, thank God. So that was like for just a month or a month and a half. And then we were, especially young people, were able to go out. Elderly people couldn't go out that often, but young people definitely could. So I would also go hiking and spend time in nature as much as possible, simply to basically get some, fresh air, to relax, to basically get my energy back, which I thought at times was maybe even more necessary than focusing on certain segments and parts of my work, both studies and work itself. So I hope this answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, moving on to the next question from our audience. I think this is for Anna Limani. This question is regarding studying in different states and having to face with different time zones. So how do you think one should coordinate with them? As this question also state that she is living in Malaysia and currently studying at University of Iowa, United States. So she has this class which usually starts 8 a.m. in the morning, Iowa time zone, and in Malaysia it is like 9 p.m. So what do you think about the situation?
Well, fortunately for me, the time zone difference was not a problem, because the countries I've been to, like Poland and Czech Republic, they are the same time zone as Albania. But I think the best way to face the difference between different time zones is to coordinate with the activities that you are doing. So for example, if you need to catch up with your family and friends who are in different time zones, you may plan and organize some days of the week to organize your schedule for those days to be in that time zone, to be prepared for that, and other days so you can be efficient in your regular daily life with studying and all that. So just plan out some days that you can sleep later or wake up earlier, so you can catch up the days with your family or friend time zone.
Right.
I hope it's helpful.
Yeah, sure. I think it's really good. As a student, we need to really manage our time well. So of course, at times we need to sleep a little bit late, and at times we just need to face with our study method, I think. And hence it's online, so I think it's quite flexible. So I hope whoever asking just now benefit from what Miss Anna shared with you. So I would like to proceed with the next question from our audience. For Mr. Shafiq, actually, as a class representative, how do you adapt with friends that always ask you questions, and maybe in the middle of the night? Do you think it would be too distracting or something like that? What do you think?
Thank you for the question. It's actually a funny question because it has happened to me before. If I'm not mistaken, last semester, it was one subject where, at the time, it was a close friend of mine in another class actually, where the time was 2 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken, and I was already like half asleep. And then my friend called me and asked for how do I do this, or do I manage to finish certain assignments. And me as a class representative, even though it's like for others maybe I'm not saying like it's all of them, but some I would say just being a class rep is just you delivering information from the lecturers and all that. But for me, I feel like being a class representative is actually a big responsibility, because even though it is not my duty or not my problem to care about or know what's going on with my friends and classmates, but I feel like it's what I should do, and it is my obligation. It is my duty to actually help them. I don't really look at time as much, because for me, I rarely, like, to be honest, I rarely like get any messages for anyone. Just when anyone needs my help, just know that I will help them at any time. Even if I don't know anything, I'll try my best to get any information online or from a friend of mine, someone who actually has the better knowledge of it. So it won't burden me, and I will only say that I will only say to other people, those the audience are watching, if someone needs help, I would say help them. Like in my case, it is my duty to deliver the information when I receive them. At any point in time, it could be morning, it could be evening, night, or even early morning, like at 1 or 2 a.m. I feel like, yeah, it's because of the flexibility of time. There is no question, there's no helping, because it's how our like education system is using, for us to interact. And basically, it's 24/7. But I'm not saying for everyone who's watching to do every single time when they have the chance. And to be logical, if you've done it once, don't take advantage of it. It means that if you ask someone today, don't ask them again tomorrow at same time. You're disturbing them at 2 a.m. today, and then maybe and then tomorrow you're disturbing them at 3 a.m. in the morning. So if you really need help, okay, it's best to reach them out probably during like studying hours, or like during 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. their normal time. But if you really need so, don't overdo it. Okay, I know that what we're learning is not easy. Okay, but you gotta know that there are limits. Okay, because as humans, all of our we do have emotions where we feel like this person is actually like really not giving us any space for us to do our own work. Okay, so if you want to ask something, okay, if you want to ask someone any help or anything, you can, but don't overdo it, or don't exaggerate. Okay, don't ask something that is labeled as easy, is labeled as very easy to understand, easy to do. Okay, if there's something regarded as easy, you should know how to do it, because us as a university students at this level, something that might consider easy, you should be able to do it. Maybe you're asking just for clarification, then that's fine. But something that's very difficult to you, or something that you're not very knowledgeable of it, then I say you can ask them. Okay, so I'll wrap it up with saying that me as a class representative, I feel like it is my duty to, it is my responsibility to ensure that my friends, my classmates, they know, and for me to give the right information to them to how to settle one problem. So
Yeah.
I'll end it there.
Yeah, I think it's great to mention that, because as friends, of course there's currently I can say that the barrier between friends and friends are quite thin, but I think with studying and balancing between responsibility, I think more wary of it. Your friends need their time, and I think as a good friend we should respect that, because you might need to keep in your mind that you are not the only person texting him. So I guess we should give a bit more comprehensive approach in being being a good friend. So for Mr. Aflin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, hi. Can you,
Hello.
there's a question for you actually. Can you elaborate
Oh, yeah.
on the book actually, on why it inspired you actually, and what do you think people why do you think people are quite depressed during this online distance learning in Malaysia, we would call it, and because most of students are currently faced with this issue.
So basically there are two questions there. The first one is why I inspired by the book, and the second one, what are the causes, right, Mr. Moderator? What are the causes of depressed, if I'm not mistaken?
And the question asks about what do you think about students who are facing depression during online distance learning. Yeah.
All right. Okay. For the first questions, why do I inspired by the book? The book make me realize that being in a comfortable spot is not always good. there will be always obstacles or maybe challenges in the future that will come to you. And if we did not care about it, or if we did not aware about it, we are the one that will regret it later. So yeah, so just like me, after COVID hit Malaysia, and us as a student need to do classes at home, and yeah, I don't, yeah, and yeah, at the time I don't really change my mindset. So at the time, to be honest, I still believe that COVID will be gone at the end of year, but eventually I was wrong. So that is why I'm struggling like so badly, because my mindset at that time is not ready with all of the thing that happens during that time. But yeah, I really thankful to my lecturer, which Madam Dayang, for making me to read the book. Because yeah, after I read the book, I do realize that sometimes we need to change something in ourselves, but it doesn't mean that we need to change every year or every day lah. So yeah, that's for the first question. So for the second questions, it is a good question, to be honest. Let me think first. So I think for the first question, I think because in online learning, for me, there's a lot of work that need to be done, and you are alone when we are doing online classes. So when you are alone and need to do a lot of work, that person basically does not have anyone to talk with, and when you are alone, you tend to keep all your problem within yourself. So eventually, that's why some people, they cannot handle this kind of pressure, because based on my experience, if we compare physical classes and online classes, if we distinguish these two, which one have the most work that need to be done, I would say online classes. Yeah, and yeah, let me be clear here. I'm not complaining that online classes has more work. It is good actually for us at the young age to feel this kind of pressure. For me personally, I really like it, but I think there are some people who just they cannot adapt or receive this kind of pressure, because they do not know actually how to deal with it alone. That's why people tend to depress. That's my opinion. So in addition, I want to add something. So so if you guys want me to give advice, but to the people who suffer with depressions, I would like to say to him or her, go back to God. Go back to God, because most of the time when I give to my friend advice, most of the time the problem will not solve. So yeah, that's why I'm saying go back to God, because God is the creator of everything, and yeah, He knows better than us. So keep on praying. I don't care whatever religion you believe on, but what I know is every religion taught us on how should we live in our life and how to find peace. So yeah, keep on praying every day to God. Eventually, God will help us in solving our problems. So yeah, thank you.
Right. Thank you. Of course, I think it's good to have a really strong belief system, no matter what you believe in. And again, I think in reading as students, we should always try to always read more. I think there's nothing negative about that in saying that. So I guess like Mr. Afin, he gets his newly informed knowledge through reading. I guess we all can start there, I guess, to start with reading, to start with challenging ourselves to be better each and every single day. And thank you, Mr. Afin, again. We have another question actually for Miss Amina. Can you tell us what are the learning methods via online that are being used in your place? And can share a bit of your opinion on how to better improve the current system in teaching online?
Definitely. Well, first we started, we went completely online in the spring of 2020, and then in the fall of 2020, we started applying this sort of blended learning where, for example, we couldn't have more than 15 students in the classroom. So what happened in that case was basically we would invite 15 students into the classroom and 15 other students would be at home and they would follow, and then they would swap. The following week they would swap. However, the number of infected cases and people was on the rise again in November. So we had to move completely online. So we stopped it. Just some subjects had these blended learning classes, but for the majority of us, we were all online. Now the thing there was that we actually tried to apply everything. We didn't want to. I'm speaking as an instructor now. We didn't want to go back to being traditional again, even though teaching online kind of moved us back to being more traditional rather than being more modern, despite all this technology and despite all these advances that we have here at our disposal. But the funny thing there was that basically our students enjoyed these more traditional ways when we would address them personally, when we would talk to them and invite them to answer certain questions, but we would basically insist on certain students answering certain questions. And I felt at times like I was in this 1960, 1970 classroom where I was like in the center of everyone's attention and they were supposed to listen to me at all times and just do what I tell them to do, which I personally didn't like because I'm mostly and majorly all about student-centered teaching and student-centered methodology. But it seemed to have worked. And it seemed to have produced really good results. And now what happened afterwards was that basically we started making everything as modern and as efficient as in the classroom setting. What I mean by this, we started applying, for example, pair work, group work, project work. We would ask students to work on different projects, such as writing books, writing different types of things, producing short pieces of writing, but very personalized, very individualized, so that they would avoid plagiarism at the same time, but also so that they could be able to express their own feelings about a certain issue. Moreover, we also try to organize different, classroom activities in those chat groups and group rooms for different group activities, so that they would basically work there and then come back to our big classroom to discuss them, for all of us to discuss them all together. And I think it worked well in the end. We became quite effective as far as online teaching is concerned towards the end of the let's say first semester of 2020, because not only towards the end, but let's say in the middle of it. Because we were kind of gaining more experience and we were getting more familiar with it, so it all helped us eventually to become, I guess, even more interesting teachers. Because what I noticed is that our students were not sleeping anymore, they were engaged, because somebody said at the beginning, towards the end of May of 2020, students were losing their enthusiasm, students were losing their interest in studying. And then we felt sorry. I mean, I, as an instructor, felt sorry for them because I wanted to help them, but I was trying to find different means and different strategies to do it. And the more I got myself familiarized with teams, the more I was capable of doing it, and the more I was capable of delivering better classes, of helping my students in many different ways. And I think it all resulted in much better communication between us and much better results in the end. Is that all? I hope, right?
Yeah, I think yes. I think it's really helpful actually to really incorporate better system for our students, because there's a lot to consider, right? To avoid plagiarism, you must not make the student sophisticated.
Sure.
Yeah. So
you know what my strategy is? If I'm bored,
please.
If I
Yeah,
feel
sure.
bored, then my students must feel even more so. So if
Mhm.
I'm interested in something, then I think it also makes my students interested in something as well. So, you know, we have to start from ourselves. We have to dig deep into ourselves and see whether we like something or not. And if we like it, then you know, it will most probably work for our students as well.
Can I say we
I mean,
should
for
have
all of
a
us. I'm
similar
talking.
understand?
I'm
Yeah,
talking as an
yeah,
instructor and as a student.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So it's good to have a
Mm,
similar
thank
understanding
you.
with each other, right? Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think absolutely. Okay. I think for us in Malaysia it's already 10:30. I think it's really approaching to the end of our session. So I would like everyone to just take a breather a little bit before we wrap up our session today. So I just would like to ask final question for each of our panelists, just to wrap up our forum here today tonight. Um, it is regarding do you think we as a student uh, can be on par with students who are before the pandemic and with the student are before the pandemic? Sorry. Um, I would just like to repeat the question. Do you think that we as students that are currently studying in the during the pandemic can we be on par with students who are studying before the pandemic? So would anyone like to start? Like just anyone random. Yeah, I think, yeah, Miss Idona, if you will.
For me, it was not going to be a problem because my first semester was in auditor, so I'm used to it both types of learning, online and also in the auditors. But for the new generations, for those who the pandemic hit when they were first year, the first semester for them is going to be a little bit hard going back to auditors because they were used to in an isolation, let's say, isolating themselves from their friends and not being used to going to classrooms early in the morning. And it's going to be a little bit hard for them to go back to normal, but there's nothing better than auditors. So this is my, let's say, opinion on it.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone
Thank you.
else? Oh, Miss Amina, yeah, sure, please.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
it took a
okay.
while for me to unmute myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree with Donna. As an instructor, I would never replace online with face-to-face education. I do understand that there are a lot of people who appreciate online environment, online education, because they feel more comfortable at their homes or in their own environments. They feel more comfortable working at their own pace, and that's fine. That's absolutely great. But the classroom setting also allows those students to be those same people in the classroom as well, right? So this is something that I believe that we all majorly miss communicating to each other face to face. Yes, it's fine. We are communicating face to face virtually now, but we cannot say that it's the same, right? It just doesn't feel the same. And this is something that I completely agree with Idona on face-to-face will never replace online fully, but it doesn't mean that students who are studying right now are going to lack certain skills and abilities. On the contrary, some of them might gain even more. Some of them might become even more skillful, more you know, resilient as far as certain things are concerned, because you know they get to do things their own way at their own pace, which allows them to analyze certain things in much better and deeper way. So I wouldn't come to any conclusions too fast. I wouldn't jump into any conclusions too fast right now and say that online students or the students who studied during the pandemic would miss on many things or lack many things. But time will tell, definitely, we will see. But I'm sure some students will be even better and stronger and have much better skills later on.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Thank you. Any of other panels would like to share?
May I say something?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with Miss Emina saying I would, if there was a chance or if there was an opportunity to pick either online or face to face, I wouldn't even look at the online option. I would pick 100% to go back to face, okay? But just like Miss Amina said, through online, okay, before the online version, when we were in class, okay, we were used to writing on papers the notes, the answers to past year questions. But now, what I've seen, okay, through my friends and classmates, now that we're using laptops to do our works, you know, using Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. I feel like what I've seen, most of the students, I've seen that they've improved their IT skills. They're by using computers, using laptops. Okay, I feel like before they didn't have the chance to actually utilize it as efficient as they are today. So I feel like during online they had that chance to sharpen their IT skills to make it as better, and they could use this skill for in the future when they started working to keep record of any of the data needed. So, but I feel like to stay on par, I feel like if you were to learn on offline through like classes, through going to the facilities and all that, I feel like to actually focus in class. I'm not gonna lie. Also, I feel like when studying online, just by going through a meeting for classes, I feel like at some point, I would do what Abdlin said. You know, to focus for like a few part, and then at some point, I would like go far away from my phone to just like take a breather or be like questioning their life, like how is this, or how am I going to survive this online. But I feel proud of myself for actually going to learn online. So I feel like we can say that learning face to face has its positive, but also learning online has its advantages also. So I feel like that's all for me.
Thank you. And for that, do anyone else has something to say about the being on par with students from
May I?
previous? Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, so I think from my point of view is that yeah, we all of us we agree that we can't replace the online learning style with the old style that we used to do because there are things that we can't learn on ourselves through the screens and through our phones. But then in this online learning time, we also have a lot of opportunities like this, free webinars, free seminars that online, so that even though we are sitting remotely from each other, we can still learn various types of knowledge, not only the ones that we learn in our campuses, not only the ones that we learn in school, but also people can join any publicly open Zoom meetings or Google Meets or that hold seminars like this. And also, it is actually a very good opportunity for everyone to learn something new, especially in this pandemic era. I think that is all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think that is everyone, I think, that wants to answer the question, is it? Okay, I think I can, I guess, call it a night for me in Malaysia, and you guys can call it good morning again, I think. So I think we should wrap up, and thank you again for your time. So entering the final session for our forum here today, and with all the question answered, marks the end of our second session. Definitely, the session is full of interesting answers and insights. Thank you to all of our panelists for the wise answers and exchanges, and also for actively participating in the second session. Before we end our forum tonight, let us all, I guess, take a screenshot, not take a picture, right? So let us all take a screenshot as a souvenir to accommodate our forum this evening. So Multimedia Exco, are you there?
All right, everyone ready?
All right.
Okay.
So let us have a big smile.
In 3, 2. Okay, once again. In 3, 2. All right, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shami. And with this, after this discussion, I guess I can say our session ends here. And I would like to express thank you. I would like to express my gratitude as a representative from UIT Amsterdam to all of our panels today for attending today's forum while giving us valuable and informative input. I hope that all of the question answered, it will benefit us, especially our audiences. Dear audiences, I, as a representative of today's event committee, would like to apologize if there's any flaws coming from us throughout this event. To remind, please fill out the registration and feedback form that are currently being distributed by our committee members in the chat box. With this, our event ends here, and I hope to see everyone again in the future. Meanwhile, take care, stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
It was a great
Thank you so much.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you semua. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.
Mana ada
Stay
siang.
safe.
Selamat sore. Selamat sore.
Thank you, Ramadan.
Alhamdulillah.
Bye-bye.
Selamat sore.